Tilame.
Hello everyone. I hope the stream is getting ready. So far we are not live, I believe, but sure it will change in a few moments. Richard, let me know when we'll be. Oh, it seems that we are going live right now. So hello everyone. Nice to meet you. We had a little bit of drama on the technical side, but we have managed to. I believe that we have managed it. So welcome everyone. These are the faces that we will be seeing today. I am Marcel. Here's Richard and Misha as well. So we will be discussing today, but let's focus on our presentation right now, which you will be seeing in a moment. Just give me a second for starting up the presentation. So today we'll be talking about business apps and its backend development. But since we are still waiting for another users, so we'll just give it a little bit more time. So let's discuss previous meetings, for example. So if you have some, Richard or Misha, you have some interesting bits you would like to discuss while we are wait for another users, feel free to discuss and let us know something interesting.
Yes, maybe we can recap what we did last time, because 2 weeks have passed. That's a long time, right? But by the way, guys, did you bring tea to this meeting as I instructed you beforehand?
No, I have not.
You
Yes.
didn't. Did you?
Yes, I have bring the tea, but I have managed to already drink half of it, so
Oh, okay.
I will be
Already.
struggling for the rest of the day, but
Okay.
I believe that it will be okay.
Very nice. Yeah, let's establish this chill atmosphere here. All right. So, Risha, actually, what do you remember from the last webinar, from the second lesson? This was a direct strike. Strike at Risha. What
This
do you
is
remember?
worse than a school, I guess.
Maybe you could answer that. I
should answer it myself. No, like in the last webinar, we were like, as far as I remember, and as far as I, if what I've looked up before the webinar is correct, then we were looking at this overview of what Hubleto actually offers, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Are there actually any interesting features which you caught, or like which caught your attention last time? Like out of all the Hubleto apps and all the different categories that we are currently offering.
I mean, there were multiple packages. Hubleto has multiple packages ready for the users to use. Maybe the most like complex or intriguing one is the invoicing app.
Yeah.
That basically lets you create invoices, and also lets you like create lets you maybe start to use a bit of e-commerce at the start, like a very basic one at the least, but nonetheless.
Is this the most complex application which we have right now, or are there more complex ones?
I believe so. The
invoicing app, right?
I would say so.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's great that you not only get the invoicing, but also the other stuff which you can connect with the invoices, right? So the customers and all the productivity things, and you can basically get it up and running in a few minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's
very
definitely impressive.
Yeah, I like the installation process is pretty smooth. It's pretty fast by the looks of it. But I guess that we will return to it a little bit later in today's session, so stay tuned for it.
Yes, that's a good anchor point actually. So we can maybe fill up this gap which we left last time. And today we will actually. Did you already say what we will be doing today, Marcel?
I'm planning to do, but in the meantime, just I've let you know that since we are on live streaming on YouTube, this session will be recorded. So anything, if you
Okay.
missed or you want to return to
All right.
it, you will get to it.
Yeah, as
Feel free
always.
to say hi in our chat. I'm checking it right now. There are already a few interesting people saying hi to us, hi to you as well. And in the
Yeah, hi
moment,
everyone.
I will be getting to our agenda, but we'll be discussing the backend. So if you're interested in how the Hubleto looks from the behind the scenes and how it works, so I'm pretty sure it will be interesting. We will have some, of course, some theory, some talking about how it should works, and then of course we'll be moving some practical examples, some coding, little bit of it. So I'm pretty sure it will be interesting for all the developers that are gathering here. And I see there are more and more of them every minute. So let's wait a little bit more, but I'm sure that we'll be starting in a minute or two.
Perfect, perfect. Yeah, I'm also very excited to show off what Hubleto is capable of. Yeah. So maybe like the transition that we are having from the last webinar to this one is that last time we only looked at Hubleto offers, and today we will be extending it, right? With so also showing the developers how easy it is to actually develop new custom applications, and how you can basically do it in what 10 minutes. Do you agree, Richard?
Maybe 5 minutes more, but yeah.
So 15 minutes, you say?
Yeah.
15 minutes is still
But yes,
okay.
it's,
Yeah.
you can develop the most, at least some basic apps very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Using Hubleto and using the tools that the Hubleto has.
Yeah. Actually, if it's possible to develop new apps in such a short time, maybe we should also like we probably don't have any case studies yet, but maybe we should do a case study how fast or how easy it is to develop new Hubleto apps with AI. What do you have to say, guys?
Actually, I was just checking the live stream, and we have already. There's one question that popped up. If you about last webinar, so there's a little bit of summarization about it. So what was about it, and what we have discovered, and what we have missed. So I believe Richard was there also previously. So feel free to give us your input about last seminar. Little bit quick info.
Sorry,
You're talking about the Biz meetup last week, or do you mean the last webinar, which we were already talking about?
I guess the question was about last webinar, so the stuff 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we basically covered it already, didn't we? So
yeah.
So 2 weeks ago, we basically looked at the sidebar and all the categories that it has, and how rich it actually is, and how powerful Hubleto is out of the box. Yeah. So just to repeat it, maybe Richard said that the most complex app that we are currently offering is probably the invoices app, but also I feel like a focus last time was also the AI functions. No?
Yeah, I like the AI functionality.
Yeah, there were AI functions mentioned, the AI helps you with can also help you with developing the apps you want, and also helps you guide you through the Hubleto itself and how to use it.
Yeah.
So that was mentioned also on the previous webinar.
That's okay. That was everything about our previous lesson, but I believe it's time to focus on the lesson that we are currently having, and it's quite a time that I believe that we should probably start already because the numbers are here and the people are probably waiting for us. So it was nice talking about a little bit info.
Yeah.
But I believe it's time to start. So welcome everyone. Today's Hubleto Dev Academy is lesson number 3, and it's business apps, backend development. Welcome to our webinar. On today's agenda, we have a quick introduction. So we will talk about how and what it will be. So basically, the situation that we are experiencing right now. So then, after the short intro, we'll have the backend development. So we'll be looking under the hood. And the second part of this mighty webinar will be about active examples and real-life scenarios from our today's speakers. And last but not least, will have be our traditional Q&A session, so we are free to ask anything. So feel free to write questions to the chat. I will be monitoring the chat, and if everything interesting will pop up, I will point it out and we'll be discussing. And of course, after the end of the Q&A session, we will be discussing about our future webinars. We have plenty of more webinars for you as well, so we'll feel free to see what we'll be planning next. I'm not here alone. You have probably heard from Richard and Michal already. So a quick introduction about them. Richard is PHP expert with over 3 years of working with Hubleto, and Michal, or Misho, is a similar developer with more than 3 years of various development projects, so they are pretty well versed from my point of view. So I believe that there are two good guys to talk about Hubleto and the stuff around it. So speakers, let's engage. It's now your time to give us your presentation. I believe Richard is the first, so
Yes.
just give me a second to switch the channels and panels. And I hope you will be able to share the screen. Okay, I'm not sure if you're seeing what it is needed. Oh, okay. Okay, I believe that you should see it right now, but it's here kind of. Let me know if you see it.
Yeah, I'll wait for my view.
It is a little bit off side, I believe. So let me make some changes to the details of the.
I think you need to scale it down a little bit.
Yes, definitely. Okay, just a little bit more. I believe that you'll be able to see it. I guess right now it's better, I believe. Just there is some delay on the YouTube, so
yeah.
It's probably working.
It's yeah, I can see it already. Perfect.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, we have managed.
And I believe you can finally see us also.
Yes, our beautiful
everyone.
faces, and so here we are finally. Okay, so Richard.
All right, so
it looks like it's working.
So today, as Marcel already mentions, we will talk about a little bit about the backend of things, and I specifically will be talking about the models and relations that you can make in Hubleto. So on the agenda, we have the models and the models classes. I will be talking about that and how you can work with the data and how the data goes through the whole workflow, the saving workflow. And next topic is our relations and how we connect two or more models between each other. And I will also be showing you how to make the relations a little bit. and maybe describe some of the inner workings of how to make the relations and what you can do with the relations. So the first topic are the models in the Hubleto. Basically, the models in Hubleto define the data structure of our tables, of the data we have inside Hubleto, inside the tables. And also it describes, or you can customize the data saving workflow of each model you have created. So to summarize, yes, you can basically create like extensive descriptions of the models. The most important thing you can do is describe the columns and with their own configurations, which I will talk about later in the presentation. Also, you can either modify data using the onSafe or other callbacks we have available inside the models in Hubleto. And last but not least, we can modify the permissions for the specified models, and also we can adjust some UI elements for some of the components that we have in Hubleto using the model class and the methods inside it. So, as I mentioned before, probably the most important thing you have to do in models is define the columns. So Hubleto offers many column classes and column types that you can use inside the model to basically make the structure of your model and to define what data will be inside the model. Each of these column classes that you can see in the boxes below are available to use inside Hubleto. Each of these column classes have their own validation methods, normalization methods, and also some configurations. So, for example, some validations like email will need to have the special character in there. The date format, the date columns will normalize your dates to have the same format required inside Hubleto, and so on. So there are many things that these columns offer. So if you want to discover what they offer, you can check out the developer guide that we have available for you. So how to define the columns? Well, we use the describe column function inside the inside your models that you are creating for. So, for example, we have a bit of code here that's taken from our community apps or from one of the models of our community apps. And so what you basically need to do is to name the column. So, for example, the first name or a last name. What we do next is we initialize the column class that we want to use. We of course can give it also a title, and then we can add some setter methods to the column classes. Like for example, this set default visible, which will make it so that the column is always visible in the table that this model uses. There are many setter methods available for column classes. For example, probably the most important ones are the set required and set read only methods. There are many other methods. As I said before, there are many other methods that we can use. For example, one of the I would say like special ones are that we can even set what like special input we use for this specific column. The next up are the callbacks that are inside the model class. So our callbacks, we have a few callback types available. So we have validate, create, update, delete, and load record. So these callback types are maybe like are named like on after create, like we have on the picture on the right. We can have on before create, on after create, on before update, and on after update, and similar to that. One of the new is on before and on before validate and on after validate. So you can maybe do some further validations if you want to, other than the ones that are defined in the framework of Hubleto. But other than that, the callbacks allows us to look at the data going through the data saving workflow. What you can do in these callbacks, you can maybe do some checks on the data, do maybe even further modify the data if you want to, and maybe invoke some call methods that have to be triggered after the saving of the record. For example, like we have here. So in this example, we basically create a record, and after the creation of the record, we called this function here, the update current balance for account function. Yeah, and you can basically do either some checks, or modify the data, or like I said before, update some of call other methods that are available in Hubleto or in your project. So next up, we have the permission and UI. Like I said before, you can modify some UI elements inside the React components we have. Currently, you can modify the UI elements in the table and the form component that is available in Hubleto. So for that, to actually define or change the UI elements, we can use two methods, and those are describe table and describe form. So for the example here, we have the describe table function, in which we are allowing the table component to show the header, the full text search, the column search, and some more action buttons for this specific table inside the model. You can freely disable these, or again show these UI elements with this describe table method. Other than that, you can also describe filters that will be added on the side of the table component as a new toolbar. In this example here, we are basically making to filter data, basically filter the data that are archived or are active. Other than modifying the UI elements here, you can also modify the permission to either read, create, or update the data. Like in the example, we are basically only allowing an external user to only read the data. We are only permitting them to read the data. They cannot create new entries. They only can read the data. You can also describe these permissions inside the describe form function, which will basically disable or enable the either updating, creation, or deletion of the records through the form. So next topic, we have the relations in Hubleto. So firstly, I would say that for relations, we are using the record manager class that has to be defined for each model that we have available. This record manager basically functions as a data source for the data we have inside Hubleto. Basically, what we do with the manager class is we either save that data with it, or look up the data with it, or like select the data with it. Other than this, the record manager also describes the relations between models. With the record manager class, we can also define some filters that we select the data with, and we can also describe how the lookup data will be loaded inside the lookup inputs, which I will get into later. So this is the example of how we create relations between models. We define relations in a record manager as well as in the model class. In the model class, we have to, of course, name the relation, then define what type of relation it is. So we can say that it's a has many relation or has one relation, or we can define it as a belongs to relation. Then we have to, of course, connect it to a class, or like make a relation to a class we want to make a relation to. So like in the example, we have the activities relation, and we are connecting to the customer activity model or model class. And then we have to define the foreign key and the local key for it to properly connect the two models. We also do this in the model relation model relation. We have to define it in the relation variable or the relation array. We basically, what we need to do is to again define it as we defined it in the record manager, with the same name, with the same type, also with the same model, and the foreign local key. And this is the basics of how we can connect the relations between each other. Next up, what we can do in the record manager is, as I said before, is to filter the data that will be shown in the table manager, the table for the model. One of the options how we can filter this data is through the defined filters that we define in the model, as you saw earlier in the describe table method. This is a different filter, but we basically in the model we describe this F customer active filter, which says that if it's either 1 or 0, then it will search for customers that are active or not. As you can see on the right, this is how the filter would look like inside the table component, or what would the users see when they would use the Hubleto. Other than that, you can also you can filter it by however you want. You can either use the method that we used in for the permission management. So you can also maybe say that you want to show a certain type of data, or like certain data only to the specific type of user. The most recent example we used is that we limit records for the specific user that the user created, so they can only like see their records that they only created. And this is the most recent example that we use this for. So how you can define or further modify the record manager? what I mentioned before is that you can modify the data that is again shown in the lookup inputs. So, for example, again, you can limit the data for the specific user. For the specific user or the specific type of user. Then you can also modify how the data is searched through the full text search or the column search. If you, for example, if you search in a specific column, you can maybe, for some reason, modify the search data. And one small other thing, you can also define the order of which the records are loaded. So, for example, you can order by a certain column, or you can change the ordering to be ascending or descending defaultly. But the most important thing that I didn't mention yet is how you work with the data. So in Hubleto, we work with the data using the Eloquent Query Builder. Each record manager works basically with the Eloquent Query Builder that you could probably see in Laravel mostly. Basically, what you do is you have to get the model that you want to get the data from, and use the Eloquent or the Query Builder to get your data. This is the example. This is the most simplest example of how you can get the data. So with Eloquent, or like the Eloquent Query Builder that we have, that we use, you can basically get the data, change the selection of the data with relations. Basically, you can get, for example, the customer data, and with the relation, you can also get customer data with data of, for example, like with their orders and such. Other than these, like get methods or like select methods, Hubleto also offers some methods to create and update and delete the data. These methods are used to trigger the callback methods, as I mentioned before, and they are mainly used for that. That we can go through the whole process, that whole like data saving workflow that Hubleto offers for us. So yes, that is it for me to briefly talk about the backend side of things of Hubleto. And I would like to give the word to Michael now. So he can show us the live demo how to create a small app that has two modules and they are connected with a relation. So I'll give the word to him.
Perfect. Thank you, Richard, for the introduction to these topics. Are there actually any questions in the chat before I share my screen?
Yes, I've noticed there's some info, something new. One user is mentioning that it's similar to classic CRUD. I'm not sure. Feel free to answer this.
It was probably a statement, right? Only a statement. That
yes,
was probably
statement.
no question. Yeah. No, it's well, CRUD also contains like these update operations and stuff. So I would probably compare it more to Laravel or the Eloquent style of things. Yeah, it's basically the standard way of accessing database models through an ORM. What CRUD is, we will probably learn in my part now. Yeah. Richard, feel free to add anything if...
I don't think I need to add anything other than like the basic CRUD methods. You we have in Hubleto. As I mentioned before, the whole data saving process also has the callbacks that you can modify. But other than that, I don't think I would want to add anything.
All right then.
Okay, Essentia Gaming is happy with your answers, so feel free to continue with your presentation. If anyone has no other questions or topics they would like to discuss right now, let me check the live chat. Nothing new for right now, so feel free to continue, Michal.
Yes, no, if there are any questions during my presentation, Marto, feel free to interrupt me, and there's no problem.
Sure.
So, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
All right. So let's dive into the second part where we will actually take everything what Richard has presented to us and we will apply it practically. And I will try to show you how actually you don't need like a deep understanding of Hubleto to get ready and to get to ship new apps very quickly. So let's dive in. Our agenda, basically what we will be doing in the second part, we will be creating this car rental app. Yeah, so these are just all the steps that you need to do to create this app. But yeah, let's just go ahead and start. So first of all, picture this scenario. You are a freelancer developer and some company, some car rental company has asked you to develop, to like host or like to build this CRM for them. So of course, your first option, the only clear option you have is Hubleto because Hubleto is free and open source. But they tell you that they have this very specific thing, which is they have cars and they are doing leasings to their customers. So this is what they tell you. You need to create a car rental app, which saves some cars which they have somewhere in their parking lots. And their cars, they keep track of their cars by their brand, model number, and a color. Then the app also needs to keep track of all the leasings that the company does. And they have some list of customers which they keep track of, and the app needs to synchronize between the cars, the leasings, and the customers. And basically what's probably the most descriptive about the leasings is that a car can only be leased to a customer for a single day. All right, so this is the description. Yeah, we can probably dive right in. So first of all, like I said, you are starting from scratch, you don't have anything. So we will first create a Hubleto project. Then we will create the app with the models, with the two models which we need, so the car model and the leasing model. Then we will define the models with their properties as described in the description. Then we will create migrations for the models. I will show you how easy this is. And then at the end, we will just create the MVC, so the model view controller for our two models. So this is the CRUD operations which the message in the chat was about. So this will basically create all the user interfaces. And that's it. So let's get practical. I will now switch to sharing my whole screen. And by also copying from the comments from the presentation, I will show you how we can actually do this part. And I don't know, I think it will be done in like 10 minutes. So you can stop the time if you want. So first of all, I will open my shell environment. I'm using Linux, more specifically Ubuntu. You can also do the steps exactly the way I am doing them also on Windows, but you probably will need to change like some paths or similar. But yeah, this is working perfectly on both platforms. So first of all, my web root is in var www and HTML. Now, we need to create the new Hubleto project. So we will do this by using the composer create project command. And I will just specify that we are doing this for the third webinar. So I want the Hubleto project to be located in the webinar 3rd folder. Yes, so let's just run this command. As you can see, it's already done. We can go into this folder which we created. Perfect. Yes. So now, before we continue, first we will specify this initialization config. The initialization config is basically a thing that Hubleto uses to speed up the process of installing the database, for example, and installing all the apps. Here in the config, you can specify, for example, like the rewrite base. So this is the folder which your app is located inside under your web root. And then also like the credentials to your database and other things which you would otherwise need to input yourself at every Hubleto installation. So we are located in the webinar 3rd folder. Webinar 3rd. We can keep the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th line as is. Then the database, our user is called Hubleto. The user has no password and everything else is good as it is. We can also stick with these default credentials. Of course, for some production environment, you would like to change these, but right now, this is all that we need. So let's save the configuration file and let's initialize Hubleto. We do this with the php Hubleto init command, and then we just specify the config that we would like to use. And as you can see, I can hide this. No, I cannot. Okay. So first we need to select language, of course, but after that, we just wait like 15 seconds, maybe 30 seconds. I'm not sure, but so what this thing actually does now is, as you can see, these are all the parameters which we specified here, right? And then now it has already created a database, all the folders that it needs, all the tables, and now it's installing all the apps one by one. And as you can see, this takes place in 3 rounds. So in the first round, the tables are created with the how do you call them? With the columns. The second round, actually nothing should happen in the second round, but should an app require just the columns and the tables to be initialized already, this will happen in the second round. And the 3rd round is for creating the foreign keys and all your indexes and other things which already require the database to be fully ready, fully finished, fully initialized. And then you can create all these optimization stuff, I'd call it. So let's just wait for the foreign keys to finish installing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Perfect. Now it's creating the user, doing some initialization stuff, generating the user data which we specified, and our Hubleto installation is ready. We can also probably preview it. So like this, wait. I will open this. Let's see. Oh no, not here. So if I copy this link into my browser, here the password was dev, and we can log in. And our Hubleto installation is actually already, it's basically done. We can already use all the apps that we have in our sidebar. Yes, everything is already finished, but there is one thing missing, and that thing is our custom app, which our customer told us that he needs from us. So let's get to building that app. So following our instructions from the presentation, we need to create our app. Maybe we can also open our IDE of choice for this. So I will just open Visual Studio Code. And we are using the webinar 3rd. Perfect. So I trust the authors. I am the author, so I trust the authors. We will close Claude. We will open the terminal. So what we want to continue with is creating our custom app. And we can do this once again with this very simple command. I will just paste it here. Yes. And we also want to install it because otherwise, or actually, let's not install it, but keep in mind, I will show you what to do if you don't install the app and where's the problem with not installing it. So if we now continue with creating a model, so the command for creating a model is php Hubleto create model. Then you need to specify the app or the app namespace. So because we are using the Hubleto custom apps namespace, we don't need to provide this whole path to the Hubleto app. But should we be, for example, developing enterprise apps or external apps, we probably would need to specify this whole thing. But right now, like I said, we only need to specify car rental, and then we just specify the name of the model that we would like to create.
Michael, can you zoom in on the IDE a little bit?
Yes. Like this. Is this better?
Maybe one more.
Like this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Perfect. All right. So we continue with creating the model, and yes, like I told you, this will not be successful because the app is not installed. So if you forget to install the app, just no panic. This is all right. You can just go into the app, go into Hubleto, go to settings, go to manage apps. And here you will already see that Hubleto has detected that you have created some app and you can install it right away. As easy as that. You already have a link here, right? This is a newly generated app. And we can now continue with creating the car model. And we don't need to install the car model, but it's whatever. You can install it if you want. Leasing. So the second model which we need is the leasing model. Once again, I will not be installing the model because we will install it later, because what we need to do right now is define the properties and all the relations of the model. So let's begin with the car model. I didn't show this to you yet, but our app got created under the custom apps namespace, which is if you've created a new freshly installed Hubleto project, this is under src apps car rental. And this is the app. Basically, this is the work directory which we will be working with. Here are our controllers, extendables, models, views, and as you can already see, under models, we can already see our car and leasing model. So why don't we start with specifying our car model? First of all, what you will probably want to do is clean up the generated file, because there are like many examples which you will not need. So we have just first of all, we removed this enum. We will not be needing this for this project. You can also clean up some of these comments to make it more readable. Describe columns we will need later, so we will come back to it. And things like describe table and all these methods which we have, which Richard also explained, these callbacks, we can get rid of those for the for this webinar. We will not need them. And describe table, let's just remove this comment here. And this method is actually nice. We can keep it. Right. So regarding the describe columns function, we for sure want to remove this. And now we are only left with this thing here with these columns. So let's remove the last column, because we will not need any numbers here for our use case, for our scenario, but we will be needing two varchars, because if you remember, a car is identified by an ID which is created automatically. Then we save the brand and the model. So let's just rename this example to brand model. We also want the title of the column to be brand, and we also want the model to be a varchar, like the brand, and we want it to be a model, right? And we can remove the CSS class. We don't need that. Right. And one last thing, we will be adding a new column, and this column is it's a color column, so we name it color. And actually, as you can see, the IDE already knows what we are up to. So let's just go with what the IDE suggests. And we probably want to also make all three required set required, right. Also the color. Right. So just to look back on the syntax a little bit. So first you define the, I would say this is the programmatical name of the column. Then you determine the type. Then you need to provide like this. This is just the syntax that we use. Then inside this translate function, you define the name. So this is like a readable title of this column. This will show up then in all your tables, forms, everywhere. And at the end, we provide some like properties of our column, which we define. So first of all, we want it to be visible by default because this is the brand. And we want all the three to be visible. This is no complicated model, so we can have all of them visible. And then we want all of them to be required. Yeah, so pretty straightforward, I would say, right? Then I would say we go on with defining the leasing class, right? The leasing model. And then we come back to define the relations later. Maybe this will be, maybe you will get a better overview of why are we doing such things. So once again, we clean this model up a little bit. Like in the previous case, we remove some of the comments. We can also remove everything here except these columns here. This as well, and all the callbacks. Right. So let's continue with defining the leasing model. This will be actually a little bit more complicated than the car model because if you take a look at the leasing model, we not only have to keep track of the leasing date. So maybe we can start with that. So let's define the leasing date. It will be of type date. Leasing date, and once again, we can remove the CSS class, we can make it visible, and we for sure want it to be required like this. But then we need to specify these foreign keys. First of all, let's start with the foreign key of the car. So this is no, well, it's still simple, but it's no common, it's not as simple as the other columns. So let's start with ID car. And as you can see, once again, the AI is mostly correct here. So wait, no, it actually isn't correct. Let's just write it by hand. Let's just write it by hand. So we want to define a new lookup. First, we define this, and then this translate. And this is the car, right? So far the AI was correct, but then we also need to specify the car class here, okay? And now this is it basically, and we only need to set it visible and required. And we can also define the other model in the same fashion. So let's just copy it over, ID customer, right? Right, so the AI which I'm using here is suggesting to use user class. And this is actually pretty interesting because you might have noticed, I hope you have noticed, we don't have any customer model in our app. But this is actually the strength of Hubleto, that it already comes with the customer's application. If you look in the sidebar,
Very first.
right here, the very first one, yes, the customers. So you can imagine the company is probably already keeping track of some customers here. We have like the Deutsche Bank, the UniCredit, anything. And we don't need to actually code our own thing for this. We just reuse what Hubleto already has. So we just specify that right here, the ID customer should be referring to customer class. And we also need to import this. So we go up here and we are taking it from the Hubleto app community customers application and models. It's a model customer like this. Perfect, right? So I think this looks good. Now, what we need to do, we need to come back to the relations, which we've skipped over. So let's start with this leasing model, and then we will come back to the car model. So first of all, we have a relation to a car. So one, yeah, that's exactly as the AI suggests. So a car belongs to, so this is so our leasing record belongs to a car record, and it's exactly as it's written here. So we need to specify the class we are specifying here, and then we just set ID car because this is our column here, and then ID is the foreign column which we are accessing. And very similarly for the customer relation, we just set it to customer belongs to customer class, the same class as here, ID customer, ID, very easy, nothing complicated. So now that we have this done, we can actually go to car and do the same thing. So car only has one relation, so we will remove this one, and it's the leasings, it's plural this time. And it isn't exactly as this AI specifies because it has many. So we can just do it like this. It has many, and we are accessing the leasing model. Then we have ID car, all right? Because ID car is the column on the leasing model, and then ID is our local, which is automatically generated. Right, so now the only thing that's left for specifying the models is specifying the record managers. And you don't need to fear this because once again, it's very easy. So let's just, first of all, clean up these files. So we can completely remove this prepare read query method because it's just a default implementation that will be enough for our use case. So on the car model, if you remember correctly, we just have the leasings relation. So we define a method called leasings, and we must set it to has many, right? Like this. And we also must change this to has many. Let me check if it's correct. Yes, so we just change this to has many. And we can remove this. So we also change this to this has many, leasing. And over here, we must set ID car because this is the column. This is the local column of the model which is accessing our model, which is in this case the column, the model accessing our model is leasing, which is accessing our local ID. So actually, it's the same order as in the car model right here on the right. Okay. Should be clear.
Okay. There is a question or point that the record managers look like Laravel. What do you think about that?
Yes, they are actually Like I said, they are very similar. I actually haven't worked with Laravel for a long time, so I'm not sure about the exact differences there. But yes, you will be using them. You will be using the record manager class as your basic Laravel eloquent models. And this is also the idea behind defining all these relations here. I hope that answered the question. Maybe one important detail here is that this leasing class, as you can see, we didn't import it anywhere in the car record manager because it's only accessing the leasing record manager. So in the model right here, if we hide the record managers in the models, we refer to other models, to other model classes. And when I hide the class, the car class, and when we go to the record manager, in the record manager, we only refer to other record managers. So this is a rule of thumb which you can remember, and then you will never get this wrong. In the record manager, always only refer to record managers. Right, so this is basically done. The car model is basically done. Then we continue with the leasing model. The leasing record manager, once again, we can remove this prepare read query method. And over here, because this is already belongs to relationship, I will put this on the side here so that we can see it and compare. Right, so we have the car, and yeah, this is it. So like in the previous case, we have the car relation relating to the car class with the ID car and ID, the same order as in the leasing model. And then the customer relation belongs to the customer class, ID customer over here on the leasing model, and the ID on the customer customer class. One thing which we need to do here is, because the customer and the leasing classes aren't in the same folder, we must import the customer record manager. So let's go ahead and do this. First of all, the customer class is located inside the customers app, models, record managers, and we just use the customer record manager. I hope this is correct. But yes, it should be. So that's actually it. Yes, the Hubleto will tell us if we did anything incorrectly, but we can continue with the next step in our slides. We need to create our migrations for our models. So if you look into the migrations are these files which define the changes to the database. Right now they are empty, but you don't need to worry because the Hubleto CLI does everything for you. We can just remove these two because they are empty anyways. Right, they're gone. And we can create them. So once again, PHP, Hubleto create migration car rental, and we are creating the model car, the migration for the model car, right? And as you can see here, models, migrations, where is it? I need to refresh. There it is, car 0001. Yes, then we can also create in the same fashion the migration for the model leasing. So we just specify instead of car, we specify leasing. And if we refresh, we have the leasing model over here. Right, so we are already done, almost. Last thing we need to do, you will probably not need to do this because Hubleto release 1.0 is coming, and this is already fixed in the latest development version, but there is a small bug in the CLI tool creating these migrations, which it doesn't fill in this number here. So if you encounter this bug, just fill in the 0001 to correspond to the file name. But yeah, you probably, by the time you try this yourself, this will probably be fixed. All right, so Then we just need to migrate our Hubleto app. So let's just do PHP Hubleto migrate. Right, as you can see, first the tables got installed, then the foreign keys, and our app should be actually ready to go. But if we refresh our Hubleto installation here, there are no tables. There is nothing which we could, how we could view the models. So what we are going to do, we are going to continue the creation of the MVC for the car and the leasing model. So the CRUD pages. So let's just go ahead and do this. First of all, let's create the MVC for the car model. PHP Hubleto create MVC. Then you specify the app name and the model name. And we say that we don't want to reinstall the app. Now we also do the same thing for the leasing model. We don't want to reinstall the app. And last but not least, we need to install npm and build our new assets. Because if you take a look what this actually did, before we only had home and settings here in the controllers folder, and now we also have cars and leasings. Also, forms and tables for our two models got created. So we have form car and form leasing. This is screaming at me in red, but this is not part of this webinar, of this lecture today, so we will not be covering this. But you can be assured that it's working correctly. It's just that my ID is misconfigured. Now that npm installed the Hubleto assets, we can go ahead and build them. This is actually all that we are missing. In the meantime, you can go take a look at the views that got created. So as you can see, this is making use of our new table component, right? Let Webpack do its thing, and it got already installed. So let's take a look at what we have, because this was the last step. Is that easy? It was supposed to be easy. You can be the judge of this. So as you can see in our car rental app here, right? This is our Hubleto installation. We can go to car rental. We can go to leasings. We see a leasings table. We can go back. We can see the cars table. We can add a new car. We can say it's a what is it? It's a Skoda. It's the Enyaq. And we make it dark green. I think the Enyaqs are dark green, so let's make it dark green. Right. We can add another car so you can truly see it. So let's add a supercar now. So maybe let's add the new Ferrari Luce. It was blue, so let's make it blue. Like this. But then if you go back to the car rental app and go to leasings, we can directly add a new leasing. So let's make it for tomorrow. And our customer, we already see the whole list of all our customers which we were using or which we could have been using in Hubleto until this point. For example, let's select Deutsche Bank, and Deutsche Bank wants the car number 2 for tomorrow. We can also, no, this, yeah, right. There's a problem with the URL there, but yeah, we can add the leasing. And as you can see, we are ready, we are done. We have just registered a new leasing for the car number 2. We could also just change this, but this is not, maybe we'll cover this in some future webinar. Yeah, so I would let you decide, actually. I think we didn't make it in 10 minutes, but I think it was fast enough. I was talking too slowly probably, or explaining too much, but as you can see, we just needed to do like a few CLI commands, then specify some 2 models, very straightforward, and we were already done. So yeah, thanks for your attention.
Thank you, Michal. It was really interesting to look at it. I believe I was taking the notes of the time, and it was around 30 minutes in total, but there was some explanation to do,
There
some
were so
questions
many
and stuff like
explanations
that.
I
So
did, yeah.
yeah, it was great to see from the lines of code to the full, not say product, the full working app. So interesting to see. Okay,
Yeah.
let's return to the final part of the presentation. Just give me a second to share the screen. Okay, I hope you see the screen.
We can see your screen, Marcel.
Okay, great. So it's final part of the presentation. Just let me check quickly the live chat if there are interesting points or questions to discuss. Okay, I believe that it's time to move to our Q&A session, our traditional Q&A session. So you have heard from me and from my colleagues. So can you see the screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, because
hold on. I don't think we
I
can. I
believe.
think. Yeah, I think we just see black now.
Yes,
Oh,
okay.
yeah, Travelers is
This
streaming.
should fix the issue. Let me know if there's something changed.
Still waiting for it to refresh. Hold on.
Oh, I believe it should be working. It should be working right now.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry for a little bit of mishap. Unfortunately, I'm not a developer, so I cannot. I'm just a sales guy, so I'm not that well versed with the computers like my other two speakers today. So, if you want to have a question, feel free to raise your input through the chat. I will be monitoring it. So if you want to have questions regarding what was processed today, or if you have not understood something, or you would like to ask a little bit different, feel free to hit us, and we'll try to answer as best as possible. And also, do not forget to connect with us on LinkedIn, Reddit, or GitHub, where you can see the Hubleto project in motion and all the commits and updates and whatnots. So feel free to engage with us. So we were talking from now on, but it's time to do a little bit of your input. So I'm just happy that the screen is working properly. Okay, so let's wait a little bit and refresh ourselves, for example.
Marcel, by the way, what kind of tea did you have? Or do you have?
Iced tea. It's really hot
Iced tea.
here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. What's the weather like?
Hot and hot again.
Is it hot? Is it hot?
Yeah, summer here, and we are working. It's interesting point to mention that if there's some guide to learn from, well, besides our webinars that you are experiencing right now, we are also working on our developers guide that you can find on the Hubleto page under the sub-page developers guide, where there are lessons and constantly when we are working constantly on preparing more and more input and more lessons, but feel free guys to fill me with some updates regarding this field if you have some additional information to add. Yeah, so
the main source is probably the Hubleto developer guide.
Okay, there's an interesting question from, I believe, Eric. What are the most common issues you guys usually run into while developing the back end of Hubleto app? Well, that's an interesting question for every developer. So feel free to give us your side of the question. What is the common issue then?
Yeah, we need some time to think about it, but
yeah. Sure. take your time. This is a question that needs a little bit preparation. So
yeah, a little bit preparation.
yeah.
Well, for me, the most like recent issue was like figuring out like the most, I wouldn't say the most outlandish issue, or like the how would I say this?
Uncommon, probably you are
No,
looking for the word.
like I would maybe say like the how to resolve an issue with like something very specific inside Hubleto, which you can with what we need to resolve inside Hubleto. And the big issue is like figuring out how to do it inside Hubleto, and what tools you can use inside Hubleto to actually like resolve this issue. These are very specific like issues that we at least I managed to get to. But I think Hubleto offers many ways to resolve like some specific issue that you might have to develop your apps how you want them.
Okay, so I hope that answers your question, Eric, because we have another question. Just let me check it and read it aloud. Why to build CRM from scratch and not use out-of-the-box solution like HubSpot and then adjust it for the clients? Well, that's a good question. Well, feel free to answer it if you want.
Yeah, I would answer it in this way. Actually, if you are using Hubleto, the main advantage is that you aren't building it from scratch, but still all the code, you can change all the code. It is highly customizable. If you compare it to HubSpot, for example, this is like actually I'm not very familiar with HubSpot, but if you also take like any other online SaaS service, you mostly just need to click through it, or you don't have the direct access to code. And I think this is a huge advantage that Hubleto offers, that you can customize it in any way you want because it's open source. Yeah. Richard, would you add anything, or do you agree with me?
Yeah, I completely agree with you.
Yes, and maybe what I would just underline, so once again, this is not building from scratch, even though I created the project from scratch. Hubleto comes with many features, many applications out of the box. So yeah. Yes,
Okay.
as Dusan also pointed out.
So HubSpot cannot be customized, only configured, which is different, as we know. Okay, there is another question. So plenty of questions today. So let's look at it. Another question from Eric. If an app evolves over time, what is the recommended strategy for maintaining backward compatibility with database theme changes? So good question.
Yeah. So Richard, do you want to answer, or should I? I can answer.
I mean, you can add to it. I mean, you basically made the migration,
Right,
so you
right.
can also add to it. But, yeah, I think as you showed in the example, we have the migration like feature with migrations, that basically you can either create new migrations and also version the migration, I believe.
Yeah, exactly. So we have like we have the model specification, which houses all the your model and the columns that the model has at the current time, and then we have the migrations, which are versioned as you saw. We created the migration 0001, and if you at any point in time decide that your model now needs like one more column or one less column or anything, you just create a new migration which updates the previous migration, and this way you can basically upgrade any Hubleto instance which you are running with a single command. It's also similar to how Laravel or other frameworks do it. So it's pretty standard procedure.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know that backward compatibility should not be an issue. Great to hear that. Okay, so feel free to ask us anything. There were already plenty of questions, but if you have some other, feel free to hit us. But I would also like to point out that we are not stopping here. The next lesson, which will be in 2 weeks' time, will be about the business apps. And since today we had backend, we'll be of course be focusing on the next webinar on the front end development. So if you are interested in this topic, we recommend you to tune in 2 weeks' time at the same time, same place. So our YouTube live stream. So I recommend checking our front end development as well. So let's wait a little bit more for any other questions if there are. So don't forget to check our LinkedIn and other social media channels like Reddit and GitHub. Okay, it was pretty fruitful session with you guys because we have talked a lot. It's nearly 4 p.m. in the afternoon, so this was, I believe, the longest session so far, but it looks like the guys watching us has enjoyed it, so feel free to write some another questions and words and input if you want. But I believe it is slowly but surely the time to close this today's webinar. And so thank you, Michal. Thank you, Richard, for the time here today. It was great talking to you.
Yeah, thank you, Marcel, for
everyone.
moderating this webinar.
Thank you as well. And do not forget, see us in 2 weeks' time at the Business Apps Frontend Development presented by Hubleto and its team. Okay, enjoy and see us next time. Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.